Welcome to Tech Biz Now. Our episode today is called Financial Flexibility for SMEs, Understanding the Role of a Fractional CFO. Join us today as we demystify what a fractional CFO is, explore their essential responsibilities, and explain how they drive growth and financial stability without the full-time price tag. Our guest today is Sara Bryson. Sara helps business owners boost cash flow, grow profits, and build financial resilience, all without the usual accounting jargon. She knows that business owners don't need more spreadsheets and complicated reports. They need clear, actionable insights to drive real change. Sara takes time to understand vision and goals, then does the heavy lifting with the numbers to pinpoint exactly what's holding a business back. Welcome back to Tech Biz Now. I'm Anna, and we have got a special guest today. Hi, Sara.
Hello, hello.
So, Sara, before anything else, can you tell us more about yourself and what you do?
Sure. So my name is Sara Bryson, and I call myself the CFO for the number phobic because the last thing business owners want to spend their time doing is looking at spreadsheets and
Yeah.
KPIs and reports and blah. No, please throw it away. I don't want to look at it. What they really want is someone else to look at this information, make it something that they can actually use to improve their business, and then give them actionable information. Step one, step two, step three, to take them from where they are to where they want to be.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I guess a lot of businesses need a lot of support in this area because they really do want to do the work that especially the service businesses, they want
Oh,
to
yeah.
still do their actual work. And this is sort of different from what their day-to-day job. So yeah, definitely they would need a bit of help in terms of that. So my very first question to you, based on what you see in your work, what sort of instances where business owners struggle? Because you mentioned a
Yeah.
few just a while ago.
Oh, yeah. So obviously, just understanding the numbers and spreadsheets and reports, and even knowing, what do I look at, right? There's
Mm,
so much information. What's even important to me and to
mhm,
my business? Is this good? Is this bad? So just looking at the financial side, there's a huge area where they can use help of a professional who does understand that.
mhm.
But really, they're struggling because when you start a business, you're trying to do everything,
Oh yes,
right?
yes,
You
yes.
are you are the marketing officer. You are the
Guilty.
finance you are you're the janitor, right?
Oh yeah.
You are the everything when you start your business. And you don't even realize it
Mhm,
until you start the business, and you just get overwhelmed because there's too much going on. No one can be an expert at everything,
mhm,
even though we all try, right? So
mhm.
it's really, that's why they're struggling, is they're just trying to do everything, and what they really should be doing is what they started the business for, what they're really good at, what they're passionate about.
Okay, so in terms of what you mentioned that because businesses are struggling, is there one thing that they need to do to make sure that they stay in business? Because if you're
Mhm.
struggling, oh, you might miss something else, or there's some certain aspects in the business that gets not it's not done at all. So is there one
Mhm.
thing that businesses needs to do to actually stay in business?
I mean, the one thing that every business needs, it's going to sound flippant, but it's true, is money.
Oh, yes.
They all need money because when you look at it, any problem that you have in your
Mm,
business, you can solve if you have money.
yeah.
You can hire someone to help you get your brand, right? You can
Mhm.
hire someone to help you get your marketing in order, get you a website that works,
Yes.
that doesn't have broken links.
Yeah.
Right? You can find that CRM to
Yeah.
help you with your reach out. you can find the person who can help you understand your finances and probably do your taxes, because that's probably not something that you should be doing,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Hire the people to help take some of the workload off of your shoulders,
Mhm.
or find the experts that can help you figure out what's not quite right in your business.
Mhm.
So at the end of the day, it really comes down to money, because even
Money.
if you're saying, well, what I need is time, well, money
Yeah,
can
you still
also
need
buy you
money.
time.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So it's money, money, money. So when you
Money,
talk
money,
about
money.
money, when you talk about money, I guess like because I'm in business for a long time, I kind of understand what money means in business. So
Oh, yeah.
am I correct in saying that it's all to do with revenue, profit, and cash flow? Am I correct?
Yes, yes. This
Yes.
is like the trifecta, right?
Ah, yes.
So when you think of it, it's this triangle. And if you take
Uh-huh.
any side off the triangle, you're not going to have a steady structure, right? It's going to
Okay.
fall apart. So you need all three of those pieces working together. And I find a lot of people don't understand the
Yes.
differences between
The
them.
difference between them. But it's all
Yeah,
part of the whole thing. Money.
yeah. Yeah, oh, absolutely. Yeah. And having all of these parts together is really what's going to allow you to be making the money, because it's about having that harmony in your business. And and if it's okay, I'd love to go ahead and just talk about the differences,
Yeah.
because I think
Yeah,
this
go
is
for
an
it. Yeah.
area that's really confusing, because it's kind of accountant speak, which is
Mhm.
not English.
Yeah.
So when you're looking at these three parts, this triangle, you're looking at, like you said, revenue, profit, and cash flow. And revenue is really easy to understand. That's your money that's coming into the business,
Hmm.
right? And when you think of that, I like to think of that as sort of your diet, right?
Hmm.
Your nutrition, what
Hmm.
you're eating to fuel your business, right? So
Hmm.
profit's your food.
Hmm.
And then we come over to the one that I think is not named correctly. It's named profit, but this
Hmm.
is really all about the expenses
Hmm.
in your business. And when you think of that, think of it like an energy expenditure, like your exercise, right?
Hmm.
Because we've been paid for the service, somebody bought something from us, super sweet, but now we need to do the things
Hmm.
to give them what they purchase from us, be
Yeah.
that employee costs, contractor costs,
Yes.
supply costs. And so we're wanting to make sure that these are aligned. We've got enough energy, enough diet coming in for us to have that energy
Hmm.
to take care of this. And then the top rung is our cash flow. And the cash flow is really when you're looking at the everything, right?
Hmm.
This is where you're like, okay, maybe you have plenty of food in your diet, you're exercising well, but man, you still just don't ever have any energy at the
Hmm.
end of the day. That's what cash flow is going to be about, where we can say, okay, yep, you're eating plenty of food, you're exercising great, but oh, did you know your body actually just doesn't digest gluten very well? So let's
Hmm.
change your diet a little bit. We
Hmm.
change your diet. Now you got the energy for the exercise and you feel much better. And now your cash flow is coming in better and working for you better. So I think that when we can think of it in sort of that holistic body
Hmm.
of us, we really need all three parts. We need our revenue, our profit slash expenses, and our
Yeah.
cash flow to be working together. And I think that's kind of a better way to explain it, maybe than some accountants sort of
Yeah.
do.
Yeah.
So
Uh,
I hope that helps.
yeah, that helps. So I would probably have a look at cash flow a bit because I guess like
Yeah.
with existing businesses, that's sort of like a lifeblood in a way. So if you don't have a proper cash flow, that's
Yes.
when businesses fail. And
Hmm.
so am I correct in saying that businesses fail
Absolutely.
because their cash flow is not, it's not doing well, or
Oh,
there's a big
1000%.
disparity between their
Yeah.
expenses and revenue.
Absolutely. So, and a perfect example would be a company that has lots of sales, right?
Yes.
I'll talk to someone and they're like, dude, I am selling my butt off. I have a wait list of clients, like
Yes.
things are moving and grooving. I don't have that many expenses,
Uh-huh.
but I never have money at the end of the month.
Correct.
Like,
Yeah.
what is
Where
going
where is
on,
that?
right?
Yeah, where is the money?
Where did it go? And usually we can find this in when we're looking at the cash flow, right? Because you've
Hmm.
got the money coming in, Your expenses are good, but why are we gassing out? Why don't we have the cash flow?
Yeah.
And a lot of times you'll find, for example, well, maybe people are just taking a really long time to pay you.
Yeah.
So you made the sale, the money is supposed to be coming, but it's taking maybe 60 days to get that money in your bank account. Meanwhile,
Hmm.
you still have to pay for everything.
Hmm. Yeah, correct.
Or I'll see people who pay bills way too fast, right? Like bless their hearts, I'm so glad that they want to get that bill off their plate. But if again, they don't have the money in yet from the sale and they're paying a bill that isn't even due yet, well, you're gonna start having some cash flow issues. Or you may see someone who has lots of money, but they have lots of money because they've taken out loans. They
Yes.
have a lot of debt and they haven't factored, for example, those debt
Payoff.
payments into how they're pricing their goods and services.
Yeah.
So it really does come down to that's where we get those little tweaks in the cash
Yeah.
flow area and seeing, okay, well, you've got the sales, you've got your expenses covered. What are these other little bits and bobs that are keeping us from peak health?
Yeah, because I guess like because I've seen it as well in some of the, like you mentioned, like there you get a lot of sales, especially if you've got products. So
Oh,
and then
yeah.
suddenly you don't have any money. So because for example you take credit card payments, that takes about
Mhm.
5 days, 3 to 5 days to actually get it to hit your account. And in the meantime, those 5 days you still need to pay your expenses. So you don't have cash flow on those 5 days.
Yeah.
Am I correct in saying that? That's
Absolutely,
how it
100%.
is.
Yeah, for
Yeah.
sure. Or you'll even see sometimes I'll be talking with people who say build decks for a living, right?
Ah, yes, yeah.
And they might wind up not doing progress billing. Sometimes
Mm-hmm.
that's the only tweak that they need. Instead of waiting till the job is done, which might be a month or two from now,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
well, maybe take progress billing, maybe take a half up front and half when you're
Yeah,
done. That alone is going to be huge for their cash flow and
yeah,
helping them cover those different expenses.
yeah, that's right. So when you mentioned that, because as a business owner, sometimes this is one of the things you neglect,
Oh,
and
yeah.
that means that you probably need a lot of help. And that's I think that's where a CFO or a chief financial officer do help. So what is exactly a fractional CFO? And what is your role?
Yeah.
And how it differs from a traditional CFO?
That is a great question, and it's one of those sort of nebulous ones, right? It's sort of, what is a CFO? Well, kind of depends, right? So when we're looking at sort of a more traditional CFO who's
Mhm.
going to be officially part of your C-suite, and you're going to be running a very large business to afford them, right? Because
Uh-huh.
we're talking, I think the last time I saw the average salary was about 400,000
Yeah,
US.
yeah.
Um,
Well, not
Little
so much here.
pricey.
Yeah, still, but yeah, CFO. Yeah, they
Yeah,
have more
and part
liability.
of oh, absolutely, and that's because they're gonna be really involved in your day-to-day activities. They're probably sitting on meetings every single week, and they are likely overseeing everything going on in the accounting space for that business, all the financial stuff. They're kind of overseeing it.
Hmm.
When you're looking at more of a fractional CFO, that's much more beneficial for a small to medium-sized
Hmm.
business who they hear that six figure and they're like, "Oh, no, thank you. I do not want to spend six figures on someone. I'm not even paying myself six figures yet, right?"
Yeah.
But what's great about having the fractional CFO is they can come in and they can give you what you need right now. So what you
Hmm.
need right now might be 100% strategy,
Hmm.
right? Just taking a look at your numbers and saying, "Hey, I know that this is your goal and these are the specific things that are keeping you from hitting your goal. So
Hmm.
let's build an action plan. Let's make it, just doable. 30 days, do these things. And then after 30 days, we do these things and just keep building on it so that you can get to the next step.
Hmm.
Um, and then they may also do some help with job costing, for
Yeah.
example, helping people figure out and making sure, keeping up to date on their jobs, making sure that they are pricing correctly.
Hmm.
They may be overseeing some of the work being done by the bookkeeper, for
Oh,
example,
yes, yes.
the other people and staff. And so it's really going to depend a little bit between what is right for that business owner and what they really do need at any given time for their business, because businesses change. They're
Yeah,
constantly changing.
constantly.
And it's really just making sure that they're having those needs met and covered.
Yeah, so I guess like to understand it better, so
Sure.
definitely you have two different types of businesses. One is a product-based business and another
Mhm.
is a service based business. So can you give a couple of examples wherein a fractional CFO can actually help a service business and
Yeah.
a product-based business?
Sure, absolutely. So, and a lot of it's going to be the same, right?
Mm.
Because when you get down to it, again, what do we all need? We all need money.
Yeah.
So it's just getting in there. And for me, the biggest thing is asking a million questions
Hmm.
when I'm talking to my clients. I want to know what's going on here. Why is this happening? Does it make sense? Have you considered X, Y, or Z? And it's really just learning about their individual business and what is or isn't working, what has or hasn't worked in the past. Um, I find that there's probably more similarity between the service-based and the manufacturing. It's just looking at slightly different places. So from a
Ah, I
service
see.
base, yeah, from service base, you're probably going to be looking more at, say, the individual contractors,
Hmm.
right? Do we have the right contractors? What are our timelines of deliveries? Versus if it's a product base, well, okay, we really want to be focusing on our inventory and our
Hmm.
supplies. Are we making sure that we're not overstocked, not understocked? Are we able to plan ahead for when something is going to be due? And also, of course, with vendors, like, can we maybe negotiate better payment
Hmm.
terms?
Hmm.
Because again, we are likely to take the order before we get paid. So, is there any way maybe we could do a little delay or maybe pay on a credit card, earn some points in the meantime? Right? So it's just kind of looking at the individuals and just seeing what works, what doesn't work, and what their specific nuances are for their individual business types.
I see. I see. So you mentioned just now, actually, like the strategy, financial strategy. So you do help in that respect and also long-term planning. When
Oh
we
yeah.
talk about long-term planning, how long does it take? Is it like 3, 5 years and things like that? And what sort of typical financial strategies or long-term planning you help clients with?
Yeah. And again, it kind of depends on the client, right? What are their goals
Or the
and how
typical
far
one.
out,
Yeah. Yeah, the
right?
typical one.
So a typical client is for typical clients, I like to look about 5 years out.
5 years out. Okay. Yeah.
What would we like to have happen in the next 5 years? But then there are some people who are just very immediate, right? They're like, I have this specific
Hmm.
problem and I need to solve it in the next year.
Hmm.
Because maybe they're looking to sell the business, for example. And they're like, I really want to sell my business. I've been to a business broker and they said that it's not a sellable business. Cool. Let's work to make it a sellable business. And that might
Oh,
be a
yes.
1 or a
Yeah.
2 year, right?
Yeah.
And versus the person who's like, oh, you know what? I'm in the business. I want to keep running the business. I just have certain goals.
Hmm.
So I find also when you're looking at the world, it can be really hard to plan much past 5 years because technology is just constantly changing.
Hmm.
So what we have right now for our availability for software, for communications, for product delivery even isn't going to be the same 5 years from now.
Hmm. Hmm.
So if we were to try to extend that out to say a 20-year plan, think about how much the world has changed from the 2000s to
Hmm.
2020s. So for me, I find that the 5 year is kind of that sweet spot
Hmm. Hmm.
where you can still account for some of those changes without overextending yourself and having too many surprises. Although I also always tell people we also had COVID.
Yeah. Yeah. You can't
So
plan for that.
yeah, so the best laid plans are the best laid plans that don't always work. You just have to be able to adjust and say,
Yeah.
okay, this was the plan. Surprises happened. Let's readjust our strategy and say, okay, here's the new world. This is what's actually going on now. And we just adjust our strategy.
So you just now, like you mentioned, strategy. Do you help in both entry and exit strategies for businesses as well? Because again, with that type of thing, it would be all about money at the end of the
Oh
day.
yeah. Oh yeah. I can help kind of anywhere in the business.
Between, yeah.
Um, for me, if it's a startup business, we're going to be doing a lot more guesswork,
Hmm.
right?
Hmm.
Because we don't have historical data, so it's going to be a lot more about looking at other businesses in that same location, right? Because your location is going to affect if you're e-commerce, that's going to be different than if you have brick and mortar, right?
Hmm.
So we're going to be looking at the location and we're going to be looking at the business type and looking at similar businesses to try and figure out our strategy. Like, hey, this seems to be what happens across the average. So let's make these our plans and these our goals for moving forward for our strategy for how we want to try and move the business forward.
Hmm.
Once you have at least 2 to 3 years in business, that's when we start to really see how the business is actually doing. And at
Hmm.
that point, we can build strategy based on that business. We've already figured out, for example, like A, B, and C, we're rocking it. Like we got that covered, right?
Yeah.
But Z over here, oh dear, this is a problem that we need to work on. But the great thing with that is okay, we know we've got this stuff rocking and rolling. We're good over here. We just got to focus on fixing this area. So let's talk about fixing this area. And that I find is also something you'll see when it comes to the exit planning. Is
Hmm.
they'll usually be really great at a couple things. For example, they've probably built a good name, a good reputation for what they have. Maybe they don't have systems and processes.
Yeah.
Maybe that's really what we need to work on building for them. But it's looking again at the individual business, where they're at,
Hmm.
where they want to be, when they want to be there.
Yeah. So, as a fractional CFO, do you also help in rapid business growth? Because some companies are, suddenly their growth are so rapid. So, do you
Oh
help
yeah.
that, especially those companies, right?
Oh yeah. Oh, absolutely. And I think honestly, I believe if a business is experiencing that rapid growth, I think having a CFO on the team is
Hmm.
going to be critical because you're going to have, again, like remember we talked earlier about we're wearing all the hats.
Hmm.
Well, now you've got a hat that's on fire.
Yeah.
Right? So rather than trying to wear all these hats that are also on fire, get someone else who can
Hmm.
put out this fire for you and
Hmm.
can help you focus on what you need while also making sure you have everything set to continue this growth. So for example, they may say, "Hey man, you are doing fantastic, but I'm noticing we've got some inventory issues. We keep slipping on inventory. So let's recalculate how are we looking at inventory? How are we tracking it? How are we accounting for spoilage, things that break or are no longer usable? How are we accounting for just the general tracking of ordering? And when we order, we need to adjust. We might have been doing it on this schedule, but that's not where we are now. And in fact, the way that we're growing, maybe every month we need to update it, right? Instead of ordering on the 14th, now we're ordering the 13th.
Hmm.
Instead of the 13th, next month we're going to order on the 10th because
Hmm.
this is what we're seeing with the trends of how people are ordering, what we need, and even our lead time
Hmm.
from inventory arriving to when we can have the product finished and ship it to customers.
Okay. So, I guess how can a business determine if they need to bring in a fractional CFO? You already mentioned when everything's on fire, like, oh, something's happening.
That's usually when we see them, right?
Yeah, but what instances as well? Where, how do
Yeah.
businesses determine they really need to bring in a fractional CFO on board, especially for small and medium-sized businesses?
Oh, yeah. I would say chances are they need them before they realize it.
Okay. Yeah.
So I would say just start interviewing some. Have
Okay.
one-on-ones and conversations, right? Just
Okay.
ask people like, "Hey, do you know any cool CFOs I could meet?" Have a
Yeah.
one-on-one with them, talk to them, see they might even provide you with, say, a financial assessment or something
Mhm.
like that that could also help you see, "Oh, would this help me now? Or maybe this is something a year from now." 2 years from now. They may say, hey, you don't, I've done this before. I've seen a couple of businesses. I've said, hey, you don't need a CFO yet.
Mhm.
What you really need are these particular people and these particular services. Let me connect you to some people, and that'll cover you.
Mhm.
When you're ready for it, we'll know, because your bookkeeper, your accounting people are going to be like, dude, you need something now,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So it's really, I would say, be proactive about it.
Mhm.
Get out there and get to know some, and then just develop a relationship with them so that when you are ready, when it is time to move forward, which may be when everything's on fire,
Yeah.
maybe when you're starting to see that growth really happen, or maybe when you've been stagnant for the past
Mm.
year
Yeah. Yeah.
and you're just like,
What do I need to
what
do?
happened? Why
Yeah.
isn't anything happening? Or I find the biggest one for me is when a business owner is not going on vacation.
Oh, yes. That was me for the first 5 years.
Yeah. If you're not going on vacation, there's a reason, and it's somewhere in your business's finances,
Mm.
right? It's you don't have the right people doing the right things,
Mhm.
or you need to work on your ordering systems, or maybe you're not bringing in enough revenue. Maybe it's a matter of, hey, you're still charging the same prices for the products that you charged 10 years ago,
Mhm.
but your costs have gone way up.
Mhm.
So it's really just bringing someone in to take a look at things, let you know what they see. I would err on the side of just every now and then saying, "Hey, could somebody know a CFO could take a look at my numbers, let them know what I see."
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So I've got two last questions. So
Okay.
my next question is, can you give us three key takeaways for companies
Mm.
and businesses looking to hire a fractional CFO?
Oh yeah. So I think the number one thing, well, one is reach out to people you already know,
Mhm.
right? A lot of people don't realize how many small businesses and medium-sized businesses have a fractional CFO who's already
Mm, yeah.
helping them. So, I mean, that's a slam dunk. If you already know Bob Boberson, his business is amazing and he's got a great CFO. Absolutely. Right. So, right there, you already know they're doing a great job. I would also say talk to them, like just have a conversation and see how you feel. Do they explain things in a way that makes sense?
Mhm.
And do they explain things in a way that leaves you feeling empowered? Or do you feel a different way?
Mhm.
Right? Because this is an area that you really want it to be a true relationship. This is someone that you are going to be seeing regularly, who's going to be touching very sensitive parts of your business.
Yeah.
You want to make sure that you have good communication. And third, if you can find someone who's already familiar with your industry,
Mhm.
that's going to be
Yeah. It's
fantastic because
important. Yeah.
they're already going to know what to look for
Mhm.
when they're looking at your numbers. They're already going to have ideas based on their experience in your industry, as well as other businesses where they've already tried things and said, I know X, Y, and Z works. So let's
Mhm.
try that here. So those
Okay.
those would be the things I would say.
Okay. Okay. So my last question for you is, how do people reach you and connect with you if they need some question? They need some questions to ask, and
Yeah,
how would they reach you?
awesome. Well, I'm on LinkedIn. Come
Okay.
on by. I post stuff pretty regularly, at least once a week. I just did a big series talking
Okay.
about how to troubleshoot your revenue, your profit, and your cash flow.
Oh,
So,
yes.
hey, if you're having some issues, go over there, like literally free resources. I'll send you a quick ebook if you want. There's no charge, no sales pitch.
Oh,
I
nice.
just want businesses to do better. So yeah, find me on LinkedIn, Sara Bryson, CFO. Yeah. You can come to my website. I also have a free webinar that's on demand that you can access through my website. Send me an email, Sarah@cfoyeah.com. I am happy to talk to anybody I can help. And I really, really, really want businesses to succeed.
Yeah.
That's bottom line what I want, because the more businesses succeed, the better everything is.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you so much today, Sarah.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
Thank you. So everyone, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this episode. And until next time.